Be honest, how many times have you said, I can't afford it this week? Sounds harmless, right? But that one sentence is the fastest way to guarantee you'll stay broke. Wealthy people don't say, I can't afford it. They say, how can I afford it? And that tiny shift is the difference between being stuck in the rat race and breaking out of it. Rule 1. I can't afford it equals mental handcuffs. Saying I can't afford it immediately puts your brain in scarcity mode. You've just told yourself that opportunities are out of reach and your mind obeys. Think about it. Every time I used to say it, I ended up avoiding investments, side hustles, and even negotiating my salary. Here's a story. I once passed on a $500 course that would have taught me skills to make $3,000 a month. Why? I can't afford it. Fast forward 6 months, I realized spending that $500 would have been the easiest money I ever made. Saying I can't afford it cost me actual money, and that's the joke nobody warns you about. Saying I can't afford it is like refusing to climb a ladder because you don't have the first step. Spoiler alert, someone else is already at the top. So if that's the mental trap, what's the smarter way to talk to yourself about money? Rule 2, reframe. Ask, how can I afford it? Instead of closing the door with I can't, open it with curiosity. How can I afford this? Suddenly your brain starts seeing options. Side hustle, trade skills, sell something you don't need, maybe even negotiate the price. Every millionaire I've ever read about or interviewed thinks this way. Here's another example. My friend wanted to start investing with $50. I can't afford it, he said. I asked, how can you afford $50? He started skipping a $10 daily coffee for a week, invested it in fractional shares, and 6 months later, he had a $1,200 portfolio. That's not luck, it's perspective. Rich people don't ask, can I afford it? They ask, how soon can I afford it? Once you flip the question, you'll start seeing money differently. But let's be real, sometimes the phrase, I can't afford it, isn't just about opportunity, it's about fear. Rule 3, eliminate the fear of spending on the right things. Here's the weird irony. People say, I can't afford it for investments or tools that actually increase their income, but will happily drop $500 on a phone they don't need. Fear stops people from spending on growth because it feels risky, even though staying stagnant is the bigger risk. Case in point, I spent $200 on a skill course that taught me advanced Excel shortcut. At the time, I thought, I can't afford this. 6 months later, I landed a freelance client who paid $2,000 for a single project, thanks to those exact skills. Fear keeps your wallet small, but courage grows it. Invest in yourself, not just your comfort zone. And while fear stops growth, another phrase silently keeps you stuck financially. Rule 4, get rid of the I'll start tomorrow curse. Procrastination is just I can't afford it in disguise. Every time someone says I'll start saving, investing, or side hustling tomorrow, they're letting time and inflation steal their money. Think about it. Start investing $100 a month at 25 versus starting at 35. Same amount, same consistency, completely different outcome. One of my early mistakes was thinking, I can't start investing because I don't have a lot. I finally started at $50 a month. 10 years later, it grew more than my friends who waited until they had $1,000 to start. Tomorrow is just a debt collector in disguise. Pay attention today or it'll cost you decades. Once you stop saying I can't afford it, the next trap is how you spend on habits and lifestyle. Rule 5, don't let lifestyle creep, the silent wallet killer, get you. The middle class trap, income goes up, expenses go up, and suddenly, I can't afford it, is your permanent excuse for why your savings aren't growing. You got a raise, the car gets an upgrade. A bonus, out goes the vacation. I once bought a $600 monthly gym membership just because everyone else had one. I hated it, didn't use it, but hey, I can't afford to skip it, except I could have. I canceled it, started running outside, saved $7,200 over a year, and invested it instead. Same fitness, more money, zero excuses. Lifestyle creep turns raises into leash chains for your wallet. And speaking of chains, let's talk debt. Another reason why I can't afford it is killing your net worth. Rule 6, get rid of debt, the sneaky trap. Credit cards, personal loans, and car payments are all finance versions of I can't afford it. But here's the catch. They make you feel rich for a moment, then silently steal your future. I once financed a $30,000 car thinking, I can't afford a cheaper car. I need this one. 3 years later, after interest, I'd paid almost $40,000. That's $10,000 wasted. And every month I muttered, I can't afford to invest. Debt is the luxury you pretend you can afford, but your future self will hate. If fear, procrastination, and debt aren't enough, the last reason you're trapped is even sneakier. Rule 7, stop comparing yourself to others. Nothing kills financial progress faster than social comparison. You see your neighbor's new Tesla and think, I can't afford it. And suddenly you're in a race you never wanted to run. Here's the truth. Wealth isn't about keeping up. It's about freedom. I once spent a week obsessing over a coworker's $100,000 vacation while I was saving $20 a month on groceries. In the end, obsessing cost me more stress than money. Comparing yourself is like measuring your bank account with someone else's ruler. It doesn't work. So how do you actually break free from the I can't afford it trap? Rule 8, replace it with solutions language. Instead of I can't afford it, try asking, how can I make this happen? Or what's my plan to get this? Suddenly, scarcity turns into strategy. For example, want to invest but broke? Start with $5 via micro-investing app. Want a course but can't pay full price? Use a scholarship, discount, or learn through free resources. Want a side hustle? Start selling a skill online before buying new tools. Change the words, change the wallet. Words create habits, habits create wealth, but systems make it stick. Rule 9. Always automate your money. The fastest way to escape the I can't afford it trap, don't rely on discipline. Automate direct deposit into a checking account. Auto transfer to high yield savings. Auto invest in ETFs or retirement accounts. If you never see the money, you won't spend it. I used to manually move $50 to savings each month. By the time I remembered, it was gone. Now, automate everything. The stickman me from 2018 would have cried with joy. Autopilot is the richest shortcut you never realized you needed. And finally, mindset. Without it, all the automation and strategy won't matter. Rule 10. Cultivate a wealth mindset. Rich people don't think like everyone else. They see money as a tool, not a barrier. They don't complain about $50. They strategize to turn $50 into $500. They don't blame, they act. I used to get frustrated seeing friends blow money thinking, I can't afford to invest while they're living it up. Then I realized their money, their choices. My choices make my money grow. 10 years later, I'm in a completely different financial lane. Your wallet grows when your mindset does. Stop complaining. Start planning. The words you speak shape the life you live. I can't afford it isn't just a phrase. It's a financial trap, a mental chain, and a subtle excuse for inaction. Stop saying it. Reframe the question. Embrace fear as a tool. Cut lifestyle creep. Kill debt. Ignore social comparison. Automate and cultivate a wealth mindset. Start small. Start now. Words lead to habits. Habits lead to action. Action leads to freedom. The rich speak solution. Will you? If you catch yourself saying, I can't afford it, one more time, pause. Ask yourself, am I really broke? Or am I just trapped in a habit? The sooner you rewire your language, the faster you'll rewire your finance. So here's the challenge. Catch yourself the next time you say, I can't afford it. Flip it. Ask, how can I? Instead. That's not just a money hack. It's a mindset that builds wealth. Stop saying you're broke. Start acting like you're building freedom. Hit subscribe. Join Jet Set Finance. And let's make excuses expensive and wealth inevitable.